And during that time, members of Six Nations say they've been able to force the government to open negotiations on their land claims.
But the dispute has had another impact on the people caught in the middle of all of this. And we have team coverage tonight from Caledonia with Al Sweeney and Nick Dixon. And Al Sweeney starts our coverage off tonight. Hi, Al.
Hi there, Dan. Well, the natives say they are making a lot of concrete progress in terms of negotiations, even though that may not be readily apparent. And they say it's going to take quite a while because they've got 200 years of history to deal with. But in the meantime, people in Caledonia say there's been a huge amount of damage to their community. This was how it looked on February 28, 2006, a small protest. It was followed by months of confrontation and even violence. 2 years later, the occupied land is peaceful, still in the hands of the protesters. But on the Six Nations Reserve, opinion is still split over whether it's the right way to push for a resolution of native land claims.
We should hold off for what we can get, the money ain't really mean nothing. It's the land that we're looking for,
I'm not in favor of what they're doing there now. I believe in the court system. I think that it should be settled within the courts.
And people in Haldimand County say the appearance of peace doesn't tell the whole story in Caledonia.
They're becoming quieter and complacent, but their tolerance level is becoming thinner and thinner. They're at the drop of a hat, I think all hell could break loose.
A main concern is with the OPP. Lawyer John Finlay has filed a class action lawsuit against the OPP and Ontario government, saying they're not doing their job of protecting Caledonia residents.
Vandalism's up. You've got fires that are suspicious, gunfights going on at smoke shacks along Highway 6. All that is not peaceful.
Caledonia residents say the OPP enforce one law for natives and another for everyone else, and frustration is building.
It shouldn't have lasted that long. You don't let that go this far. If the OPPs can't do it, bring in somebody that can do it.
It's affected the people of this town to the point where a lot of people are never going to get back what they've lost.
On Six Nations, Haudenosaunee lawyer Aaron Detler says the governments are coming under growing pressure from Caledonia residents to settle the land claims.
They're saying, well, what about these thefts of land and these thefts of money? How are we going to deal honestly with these instead of simply trying to brush it all away?
Now, Caledonia residents say one reason it's quiet here is that there is no economic activity going on. The dispute has scared people away, not just from Caledonia, but from all of Haldimand County. It lost $24 million last year in development, and there's no local work for tradespeople. Now, we did try to talk to the OPP today about this situation, but they haven't been available so far this week. And Nick, one of the issues, I've been covering this story now for 2 years, almost since day one, from day two actually. One of the issues is communication with the OPP. There have been a lot of times that I've felt as a reporter that you can get more information from the OPP about a traffic accident in the middle of the night on the 403 than you can about this crisis in a major community. Frequently, the OPPs say, we're keeping the peace, the rest of it is operational, and we won't talk about it. For people in Caledonia, they watch what's going on here. They don't hear anything from the OPP. They're left to draw their own conclusions.
You're absolutely right, Al. We know that. We've talked about the frustrations. You just talked about the frustrations in your story there, and that is exactly what's happening here from the media perspective as well. There's a frustration about trying to get the information out to our viewers and out to our audience about exactly what is going on. This certainly is not a happy anniversary by any stretch of the imagination, but with this being the second anniversary of the occupation here, we thought it'd be a good idea to try to update you on the status of the negotiations of this Caledonia land claim. And it seems, though, as usual, that no matter who you speak to from the government, that both residents of Caledonia and Six Nations are just being asked to be patient as these talks drag on.
The Upper Wash Commission recommends negotiation and consultation over guns a-blazing.
It's fair to say that's the guiding principle of the province when it comes to negotiations over what 2 years ago today was the Douglas Creek Estates housing development. But that's not to say that the Aboriginal Affairs Minister is pleased with the pace of negotiations.
I will continue to try and push for progress, which is happening too slowly right now.
Michael Bryant says that isn't just his opinion, but also that of Caledonia residents and the Six Nations people who started the occupation. Meanwhile, the Premier continues to plead for patience, hoping he won't be answering questions about the dispute this time next year.
Well, I certainly hope not. What we are I think it's fair to say that we're managing this in a prudent and thoughtful way. We have drawn what lessons we might from the management of the Ipperwash issue.
But the Premier's opponents say his government's handling of the entire dispute and negotiations continues to be a disgrace.
The wounds there have deepened. It's more painful than ever. The conflict has been aggravated over and over again, and Mr. McGuinty has failed that community.
NPC leader John Tory says that while he understands the frustrations of Caledonia residents, having visited the beleaguered small town several times in the last couple of years, Tory says he is totally opposed to a plan by Gary McHale to organize a protest in front of OPP Commissioner Julian Fantino's home.
If he wants to protest the OPP, go to headquarters. If he really wants to protest at the right place, he should come here. But he should not be interfering with Mr. Fantino's privacy and his family and his neighbors, and I think it's just dead wrong, and I told him so.
Now, of course, negotiations do continue, and there are regular meetings amongst the province, the federal government, and, of course, the Six Nations Confederacy. Now, here today, though, is the angle from the Six Nations side. We have a quick quote now from Six Nations Chief Bill Montour. Here's what he had to say about the negotiations. In a press release, he said, "We are optimistic that the present negotiations are progressing." Now, the pace may seem slow on the surface, but due to the complexity of the issue, both internally and externally, there continues to be successful progress at the negotiation table. So everyone keeps talking about successful process at the negotiation table, but clearly, Dan and Laverne, we are standing here on the eve of the 2-year anniversary of the occupation, and again, people are frustrated from every side of this story. You have to keep in mind negotiations continue to drag on. People want to see some kind of closure, and right now, they're certainly not getting it. Laverne, it's back to you.
Yeah, it may be a while for that closure. Thanks, Nick. And we're